Barack Obama has come out and said how he doesn't want a militarized police culture, and like all of his promises, it's something that we intend to take on. Barack Obama said, in the 2 years I have remaining as president, I'm going to make sure we follow through on not having a militarized police culture. Some interesting conversations about that. And we have the opportunity to talk to an author, Stephen Allen Gray, who has literally traveled the world, and after spending his life absorbing other cultures and seeing what's going on in the world, he understands that freedom works, and there's no better example of how freedom can work than the United States of America. He's got a new book out called Ant Farm, a novel about what's bugging society. Looks like a very interesting read. We'll talk about all of it with our next guest. First time into the morning show, Stephen Aaron Gray is with us. Stephen, good morning.
Good morning to you.
So, traveled around the world, did you?
That I have, yeah, in my music work that I've been doing for many years.
Yeah, you're a disc jockey, correct?
Exactly right, yeah.
So how does that work? Like, when you go into a foreign country, if you don't understand the music or the culture, what do you have to do, or is music kind of a universal language and American music still rocks the world?
Well, that's the thing. Music really is the universal language. I play electronic dance music at clubs, and the specific genre I play was originated actually in England. But Americans have certainly adopted it and embraced it, and so when I go to different places, people enjoy the music just the same.
I've read some comments about your new book, Ant Farm, came out in August, and some people are kind of classifying it as a tribute to George Orwell, and of course people will remember Animal Farm and 1984, some of the George Orwell classics. So let's talk a little bit about the book first. And
sure.
What's Ant Farm all about?
Ant Farm, really, in a nutshell, is it's a metaphor, and it's really a familiar but fictional story about a free society that deteriorates into a totalitarian society. And so, what you're saying is true. In many ways, it's a tribute to Orwell's Animal Farm, and in many ways, it's also sort of a parody of that. I really like the way Orwell, with his book, he took farm animals and tried to explain the dangers of state-sponsored communism. I've done something similar with my book, Ant Farm, except I use ants and other insects like cockroaches. And I've really tried to show the dangers if any state, doesn't matter if it's communist or so-called democratic, if it gets too large, it can also be a very dangerous thing, and that's what I've really tried to show in an easy-to-understand way in Ant Farm.
Now, you've also studied world religions, so you bring a very interesting perspective into your, what I assume to be kind of a libertarian worldview. How do you kind of square those different understandings? When I talk to a lot of libertarian friends, one of the first things they seem to rile up against is religious thinking or religious influences on society.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely coming from a pro-liberty standpoint. And having studied religion, I feel like it's just given me a little bit of cultural sensitivity that some people indeed have and other people don't, in understanding the way that other cultures work. And I really sort of come from a live and let live perspective. I know there's some people that have their way of thinking that really want everybody else to adopt their way of thinking, and I like to let other people be and let them believe what they want and act how they want, so long as they're not harming other people or their property.
Sounds pretty basic to me, and the kind of message that if we could find a politician who really kind of sticks within that framework and doesn't, I don't know, turn off people who maybe have a focus on national security or a focus on the influences of religious culture on our society and our development over now centuries here in the United States of America, might be able to get some traction. I'm really kind of scratching my head at how, for instance, this Elizabeth Warren is coming out and taking on, the Wall Street, the big bank bailouts, and sounding like a populist, even though she is really, from understanding her reading and her history, is more of a progressive than Barack Obama, and I think would be a disaster as president. But she's finding that message that resonates with mainstream America, people who aren't paying close attention. We need to find a freedom lover who does the same thing. Any ideas? You interested in running?
Not really. Yeah, I think the political game turns into such a dirty one for most people, because even if your intentions start out good, by the time you're in office, you've got all this new power, and most people want to take control of that power, and often it really is with good intentions. It's just that the results become disastrous because there's no accountability. There's no repercussions. There's really no negative repercussions for taking some kind of action, and if it backfires and ends up harming people, even if you meant for it to be good, you're not really punished in the political world.
Author Stephen Aaron Gray is with us. The new book, Ant Farm, a novel about what's bugging society. Was there a triggering event or observation that you made that led you to put this book together?
There wasn't really any one isolated event. It's sort of a build-up of things over the years. Observing our freedoms being taken away in the U.S., also in Canada, where I lived for a number of years, and other places throughout the world. I've just noticed a general stripping, a slow stripping of our freedoms, and I've really tried to capture that in the book you mentioned, in Ant Farm. I really try to explore a number of different issues to show that, it's not just our economic freedom that's being taken from us, it's also our social freedom, but we are being taxed more. We are being told that we've got fewer decisions to make on our own, that nanny government will take care of these things for us. The problem is that when nanny government tries to take care of these things for us, it doesn't matter if we're talking about gun control or health care or who we may or may not want to marry. These are all issues of personal freedom, where if we make these decisions in a way that doesn't harm others, we should be free to do so. And the state is trying to tell us, no, we know best. We know better than you know for yourself. And it doesn't really work out very well.
We've linked up to the Amazon listing of the Ant Farm. We'll put it up on our Facebook page, Wake Up with Randy Corcoran. Any other ways for people to connect with you and connect with the book before we turn the tables on police militarization?
Oh, sure. Yeah, really the best way to get it is to preview it for free on my website, which is antfarmbook.com. There I'm giving away actually the first 4 chapters completely for free. People can download it, read it, decide if they like it, and if they do, great. Then they can purchase the rest of the book, yes, on Amazon and a number of other outlets as well. But Ant Farm, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Antfarmbook.com.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. And Zach, so scratch the Amazon listing. Let's just link right up to Stephen Aaron Gray's website. That's terrific. And it's Christmas, folks. Go check out a chapter. It might be another great stocking stuffer. Talked about a couple of other books earlier in the show. Stephen Aaron Gray, what is we've got to get to our break, but let's just kind of frame your position on what's happening with the police departments across America and their purchase of military equipment. What's your synopsis of your view on that? And then we'll get into the details on the other side.
Sure. I mean, ultimately, the police state is growing. They are becoming more militarized. They're using all kinds of military-grade equipment, and it's an intimidating thing, and it's not something that every American wants, and yet we have to pay for it or we go to jail. It's a scary prospect.
All right, we'll dig down into the details. Barack Obama would agree on this one. Police militarization, is it going too far? Author Stephen Aaron Gray stays with us. I hope you will, too. Right now at 6:48, Zach Pugh is back here with a look at Denver's traffic and weather.
The Studio 56 phone lines are open, so call now, 303-477-5600.
Breaking rocks in a hot sun. I fall for law and a law one. I fall for law and needed money 'cause I had none. I fought the law and the law won.
Yeah, going to be tough to fight the law as they become more militarized, the pros and cons to every issue, of course. And we're talking with author Stephen Aaron Gray, author of the new book Ant Farm, a novel about what's bugging society. And what a great idea. You can read the first 4 chapters of the book at his website. If you're driving and don't remember, all you got to do is go to our Facebook page, Wake Up with Randy Corcoran. We'll link up to the website right there where you can check out the book. But on this police militarization issue, Barack Obama has announced that this is a problem not just of Ferguson, Missouri, it's a national problem. In the 2 years I have remaining as president, I'm going to make sure we follow through on trying to ensure that the U.S. isn't building a militarized culture with police departments. And, Stephen, you say that this is a real problem. People need to be concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. And the president's words sound good. Unfortunately, I have no faith that that will actually happen. I've never seen a government program shrink or roll back. I know it's happened on rare occasion, but 99.9% of government programs do only grow, and I think police militarization will continue to grow as well.
All right, so now some would say in the wake of armed protesters, people throwing Molotov cocktails and rocks, and if a tear gas canister is tossed, somebody will run up, pick it up, toss it back at the police, that police who are wading into a hostage situation or some kind of really a pseudo-military type environment, why not take advantage of the equipment and the protections that we can provide for them? What does that do to the culture and to the citizenry in general?
Well, a problem there, I mean, of course, there are going to be some situations where it's beneficial to have more military-grade equipment. But for the most part, it's not necessary. Most day-to-day police situations do not require that kind of thing. And frankly, the reason that a lot of people are responding so poorly, it's not a good excuse, of course, but one of the reasons people are responding in protest is because the police have so much power and very little accountability. The decision in Ferguson, the grand jury decision in New York, I think really proves that regardless of what you may think of who did what and who may have deserved what, I think most people would agree that police are granted special privileges and they have very little accountability generally. And their power continues to grow, and this is one reason why people are so upset. I think if either of those police officers in either of those places had at least faced trial like you or I would in the same situation, I think you would have at least seen some of that anger diffused over time instead of what we're seeing today.
Well, I have not come out in support of moving past the finding of probable cause to put someone on trial just because that will satisfy the public, especially in Ferguson, as more and more of the grand jury reports came out, as 3 autopsies, including the federal autopsy, really supported the version of the story that 15 of the 18 witnesses gave and that the police officer himself gave. Why should we push someone to trial in a situation like that? If in fact eyewitness testimony, forensics, and autopsies indicate that this officer was being attacked, someone was going for his gun, someone was charging toward him, why would we subject him to a trial? We've already cost him his job, his home, and probably be hard for him to work in law enforcement anywhere in the country ever again. And it doesn't seem, from what we do know, from the kind of unprecedented level of information that's come out of that grand jury investigation, that he did anything wrong.
Well, yes, it's hard to say for certain, and I don't think anybody should face trial just to appease public opinion. But I do think that police should be treated by the law just as you and I would be treated by the law, and the numbers show that they aren't. Now, maybe this is the one anomaly example where a police officer was not taken to trial with good reason. It's hard for me, and I guess it's hard for other people to believe that that's the case. because the numbers draw out that the vast majority of non-police officers that are taken to grand jury are indicted, and the vast majority of police officers that face the same situation are not indicted. It just seems like a real imbalance of power. So I don't ask that this officer be taken to trial to appease public opinion. I ask only that he be treated the same way you and I be treated, and I think given the evidence, it's almost a certainty that you and I would at least have been indicted.
Well, and I even wonder about that as well. I've ridden with Denver police down in downtown areas on Friday nights. I haven't done it in a long, long time, but I've seen what it's like to go into these environments, these hostile environments, uncertainty about whether someone's got a gun or a knife, people who are, whacked out and feeling super powered from methamphetamines, whatever the issue is. And I wonder if police who put their lives on the line like that every day shouldn't come into a situation like that with a certain assumption that by putting themselves in that position, we've got to give them the benefit of the doubt in the way they reacted. They are human beings. There are plenty of bad police and plenty more of really, really good ones. And I wonder if it isn't maybe appropriate to have that playing field a little bit unbalanced by the initial assessments that we make in a situation like that.
You know, it's a fair point, and, you know, if anybody's going to walk into a dangerous situation, knowingly, that should, of course, be taken into consideration. It's just that I think when you give police too much leeway and very little accountability, you're going to encounter problems. You know, and ultimately, the paying public has no choice. If you and I are dissatisfied with our local police department and how they're handling things, we still have to pay for it no matter what. You know, it's hard.
Even we ought to stop it there just so I can mention your book one more time, because we're up against a hard break at the top of the hour. Ant Farm, a novel about what's bugging society. Stephen Aaron Gray. Go to our Facebook page to link up to his website. You can read the first 4 chapters for free. If you like it, get it. Christmas is right around the corner. Stephen, we appreciate your time this morning. Have a great day. Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Thanks. You as well. You as well.
Christopher Doss from Revolutionary Communications next.
One fine morning, girl, I'll wake up.